be careful what you wish for sometimes, because if you put it on numbers and you want to make X dollars per year and you get to that dollar, then what?
Here we are, another episode, season 4 of Relentless Life on Your Terms with Rex Afrasiabi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. Well done on the pronunciation. Just make it sound better than I
Look,
would.
I've only practiced it for about 15 minutes beforehand, but thank you. So I'm not the best at pronouncing names. Now, you've got a very impressive background, so I'm just going to throw a few questions and we'll start from the start. You migrated to Australia from?
From Iran. Iran, it was war-torn at the time. They was having a 10-year war with Iraq. So my family migrated when I was 7 years old. I couldn't speak a word of English back then. Some could say I still struggle with it, but
I doubt it highly, yeah.
So, it came.
And you're the middle of 3 kids.
Middle of 3 kids.
Came to Australia.
Had an interesting upbringing, I suppose. My parents got separated when I was about 12 years old. So I came home one day and my mum had left with my siblings. And my dad was in international trade. So he spent a lot of his time, like good 60% of his time overseas, predominantly in America. He's got a green card as well. So I kind of raised myself from them, which is a lot of fun, and in terms of, you have house parties every night, but also teaches you certain things, and you go for a lot of challenges as well.
When obviously hit to the law, because you own a very successful law firm, is that part of the reason why you're so passionate about helping people? Because I hear that a lot too when I follow you on Instagram as well, and you talk a lot about that, and I can see how genuine you are about that. Is that part of the reason, you think?
I don't know if it's part of the reason. I think the passion for my law has come from, I suppose, my career. I left law for a while and I thought I had passions for other things.
Which was fashion, yeah?
Which was fashion.
Which is why you always look to the 10s when I see you.
I don't know.
So I dressed up for you tonight as well.
Yeah, looking sharp. So going fast forward or rewinding a little bit, in terms of went to university. Everyone I'm Persian, so all my Persian friends are doctors. They're all going into medical field. So with my misguided youth, I suppose, I wanted to rebel. I went to 3 different high schools, and my rebellion was to become a lawyer, not a doctor. So went to law.
Obviously, you're a very good student if you could become a lawyer.
I think I was natural. Well, a lot of my people in my family are naturally, like my cousin's a lawyer as well, and she went to Melbourne University, and she was one of the only students straight from university. She got flown to London to interview for the world's second largest firm, and is still there now as a partner there. So compared to the rest of my family, I'm like a black sheep, but I don't complain either.
That's fantastic. Well, none of me and my siblings got into law or anything like that, or uni. I went to TAFE in Broadmeadows, so there you go. So fast forward now, you're in a very successful law firm, MA Legal. When did you start?
MA Legal is 14 years young now.
Yep.
14 years.
Tell me a bit about that.
So going back to before how MA Legal started, I was a lawyer for various other firms before going out on my own.
Yep.
The last firm, I'll remain nameless for now, but they're in this area. They had really nice boutique offices in South Yarra, and they represent 3 people in the BRW Rich 100 list. Really great role, really high-end work. They also shared offices in the same building for a fashion company called Blur Optics, and Blur Optics has the license for all the sunglasses and optical for Sass & Bide, Seafold, some of the bigger Australian brands. It's all licensed out, and these companies do it. I was 29. Believe it or not, I had blonde hair, green contacts.
Oh, no, don't believe it. Well, you had blonde hair.
Well, dyed, peroxide blonde. And single. A
long time ago.
Long time ago. 2 marriages ago. We'll get to that too. And then Friday night drinks, and the clientele, like we had respectful businessmen, they had models going to their offices. So somehow Friday night drinks turned to a job offer. So I joined them as a general manager / legal counsel. Got an Audi TT convertible as a signing bonus, which back then was a pretty cool car.
Love the Audi.
Yeah, I was a big fan too. And that was a really good role, like international travel.
How long were you doing that for?
18 months.
Yep.
A lot of international travel, fashion shows, Sydney almost at least once a month, if not every second week. Did burn me out a little bit. Like you think, you're going to, X country for X fashion show, great, or you're exhibiting somewhere, but you get there, you land, you do what you need to do, you go out at night every night.
The novelty was off after time, doesn't it?
It does, because you get back home and it's all the emails you have to catch up on, all the work you didn't do whilst you're away for a week. You're catching up, and by the time you've caught up, you're off again.
You're exhausted as well. I had an office in Sydney and I was living there 4 days every 2 weeks. And everyone goes, oh, that's fantastic, you're traveling. That was great for 1 month, 2 months. But the novelty, what I found, weared off very fast. It wasn't overseas, but to live 4 days every 2 weeks interstate, it actually took a toll.
It does. It takes its toll. And I met I was single, so I met who I ended up marrying, my first wife. Great person, still good friends. But she also didn't think it was right for me to be traveling the world, going to fashion shows and this and that. So she persuaded me to leave that industry.
Which you were in fashion then?
I was a general manager for a company, effectively, but in the fashion industry.
Yep.
And then that's when I set up MA Legal. Set up with a good friend of mine. Back then, we're still friends, but we're not as close, I suppose. Not for any reason, just people drift apart.
Of course. Life changed, priorities change.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was the M, I was the A.
MA
I
Legal?
wanted AM Legal, but we're not morning people, so it became MA Legal.
And now what parts of law do you cover?
I do predominantly commercial, so that includes litigation, property transactions and the like as well. But from there, I've now expanded to another business, which I was speaking to you earlier about.
Yep.
From my law firm and the various other things that I do, I'm also I've been selected to be a judge for various industries. So
Which one of them is for broking as well, isn't it?
one of them, so Australian Broking Awards.
How did that come about?
I don't know
Is it just
why
through
they
your-
choose me, but I'm a
Obviously a good judge of who can win, and
yeah.
hopefully if I run next year, you can help us out.
We'll see how we go. But Real Estate Business Awards I'm a judge for them. Young Achiever Awards. I've been a judge, and I still am, for various things. What I've seen by being a judge is different industries have really evolved with technology. Any industry is still the way it is. So real estate is people selling houses. But what real estate agents and even mortgage brokers have done is they've adapted to technology, and that's helped them, enabled them to accomplish more and provide a better service.
And to scale a lot quicker.
And to scale quicker and,
Yep.
and be more people focused. Unfortunately, looking at my own industry, being the legal industry, law hasn't really, we still use paper, a lot of paper. And we haven't really evolved with technology.
A lot of companies heading that way though, Rex?
A lot of countries outside of law is heading that way. Inside of law, not so much that I've come across, or many or any if I've come across.
So we're going to talk about what you're focusing on soon, because that's incredible and it's going to be massive. I find that so amazing though. Even with real estate, all the things haven't gone quicker that way.
Yeah, but real estate is changing. Real estate is
It
really...
is changing. And I have this conversation with a lot of people. I think COVID has matured the online market by 10 to 15 years. Obviously, it's just what I estimate, but it's so prevalent now. We've got people buying real estate interstate we've never met. People can really open the borders to become national, so to speak, by actually having a different presence. I was actually watching a podcast the other day and saying even real estate agents at the mall, they don't even need an office because the foot traffic's different. Where's your appointments? Someone's home. Where are you selling? Auction, someone's home. And I'm thinking it's changing so fast, the dynamic of how people do business. And I think COVID has just, as I said, pushed that so forward. But you feel the legal hasn't happened.
Real estate, the traditional corner store office or, showroom is not there anymore.
There's no foot traffic anymore. So before, when people would come past for a listing, now it's about digital. It's about being in front of people.
It's
now
realestate.com that I use. Simon Baker, who I've had on a podcast that I run as a guest, he revolutionized that industry in a really good way.
What is your podcast about? It's about real estate. It's about
I've
legal.
got two. I've got one that I'm a co-host with some other people as well. It's Real Estate Renovators. It's a business advisory show for real estate agents.
And the purpose of it is to give advice to people
Not to
renovating?
give advice, it's just give back. So we get successful people in the real estate industry. We've got to have yourself onto it.
I'd love to be on it.
Yeah, please.
Be on
Season 3 is shooting in mid-October. And we get successful people in the real estate industry. So, Simon Baker, for example, Mike Green, which is the head of Harcourt. So we've had various people and also people outside of real estate. So we've had number one best-selling author for culture in a workplace, come in and talk about how culture should be resonate through your workplace and how important it is, especially for any business, but more so for real estate. It's a sales industry.
I think it's the most important thing. Having the right culture to be able to build a team.
Yeah.
Is I think if you want to scale with an impactful company that means something, I think culture is the most important.
But you're saying it as a business owner, and that's why you probably have a great culture, because as a business owner, you see it. Some business owners don't see or don't value culture as they should, in my opinion. Like, culture is your business.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think they take time enough to give back. They expect it to happen by itself, organically, and it can, but it's got to come from you. It's got to go from the top down and come back up again. It can't go from the bottom up.
It's got to be genuine though too. I think for me, and a lot of businesses I see, if you care about the people, and I'm here so many hours like you are with your business, anyone building a business, I want to love the people I'm with. I want to share in their success with them. I want to help them problem solve. I want them to help me. And I want to be there and genuinely see them grow. So I think it's something that you've got to have as a culture. For me, coming to Reventon, I was sick one day. I couldn't come one day. For me, it's like being away for a month. Yeah. I want to see my team. I want to come back in. And I think it's becoming more prevalent now with business owners that they're seeing that
they're good businesses.
They're driving growth. They're driving scale. They're driving impact, which in turn, ironically, is going to drive whatever it is your purpose is, your profit, whatever it is you want to call it. If you fix this, the rest is going to fall into place, I think.
And more so, I think, in 2022, when you realise it's an employee's market out there, and turnover of staff and finding good staff is so difficult for any business owner. And so speak to any business owner, the number one issue is always staff. The number one headache can be staff. Find the right people that do the right work.
Which is becoming even more and more harder. I was very fortunate. Monday we had 4 new people start, we had one position we were trying to recruit for 4 months. It was so hard, and with people going on, I don't know what the legal industry people are paying 20-30% over what the jobs were paying before, which is how competitive is it to be able to find the right talent. And you're not going to scale without the right team.
No. Or even maintain what you have without the right team.
Of course. Now, I know I heard personally you like doing a personal challenge once a year.
I do? How do you?
Don't worry, how do I? Little birdie told me, but I take interest in my guests, and you're a very interesting character as well. And the one you did last year, which is a personal something that I love as well, you did a professional boxing bout.
I did a professional boxing bout.
I watched you did very well. You won. Well done.
I did win. I actually tore a bicep in the first round off the bone. So I was doing quite well before tearing my bicep. But then I've got some friends in the industry, in the fight industry, I suppose. And they were in my corner. So going back to the corner, having Nick Cara, Mark Hammer Castanini both there, you couldn't say, I've torn a bicep, I can't go back
I'll throw you back in there.
Pretty much.
Nick's a world champion. Mark's an Australian Muay Thai. Both great fighters, great people. I know them both personally.
Yeah.
They're good friends of yours.
Yeah.
It would be a funny conversation.
It was a funny conversation. So we ended up winning. Tosca was in the corner as well, actually, at the time.
Tosca Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Three legends.
3 legends. So having them wrap my hands beforehand and then walk me out. And it was an honour. So I had to finish the fight. Won, and then 2 days later had surgery. And then was out for like 6 months. I'm now slowly getting back into boxing. The challenge for this year has been something different, but
which is a bodybuilding contest.
It's a bodybuilding contest. You do know
how
your
did
stuff.
You see? I try to do my research. How did you go? First of all, how do you pick these challenges? Is it hobby? Is it interest? How do you go from one to the other? And if anyone watches Rex, you see he's always doing some impressive weights on Instagram, so follow him as well. How do you go from one hobby to the other? And how do you pick?
Silly things. I watched a lot of Rocky movies growing up with boxing, and like, why not? And anyone that's grown up in my generation probably saw an Arnold or movie of some, and Pumping Iron.
Pumping,
was a
of course.
Yeah, everyone's seen Pumping Iron. So, but why not? Let's try it. It's a lot hard. I think boxing was a lot easier than bodybuilding, so I'm still going through that process. I haven't been on stage yet. Just putting on size is not easy. Putting on muscle, it just takes so much time.
I actually have an interest in bodybuilding because I watch to be honest with you, it absolutely fascinates me because a lot of people see these big guys and they think it's just this and that, but really it's a 24-hour-a-day sport. The eating, the sleeping, the training. And I knew a few guys who were very big. I knew a Mr. Universe in Cyprus, like Athogli, he won. And it fascinated me, the absolute dedication. We're talking the way they eat, the way they sleep, it's the way they train. They're machines. It always
It's a
fascinated
lifestyle.
me that people got so big and how they didn't. Obviously, they looked fantastic, but it wasn't that. It was beyond an obsession to get to a level of a Ronnie Coleman,
They're
these
ridiculous.
people, a Lee Haney, who was Phil
times.
Heath, who was a 7-time Mr. Olympian, Dorian Yates. So I watch a lot of them because they fascinate me, and I thought to get to that level, it's crazy. The surgeries they put their body through.
I
So
was going to do a
when's the
Mr.
big day?
Physique. So Mr. Physique is nothing like those guys.
Of
We
course,
wear board shorts.
we're talking about
stage.
the elite of elite,
Yeah.
but still, you still got to play yourself.
And it'll be a naturals contest, not a.
When is this?
It was supposed to be October. And I've got a coach, literally 5 days a week, PT, who's got my diet and training, everything down for me. Now it's pushed it back to March. I'm just trying to put on as much size before I cut up, because cutting up is more diet and it's not that as hard. But once you cut, you lose a lot of muscle as well. So you need to have
You lose a bit of size.
Yeah, you lose a lot of size.
So I want to ask you, because you've ran your business now for 14, 15 years, was it?
Yeah.
What was one of the biggest lessons you learned in your business, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest lesson I've learned in my business is be careful what you wish for sometimes, because if you put it on numbers and you want to make X dollars per year and you get to that dollar, then what? So and people that can't not watching and listening to this.
Increase it. What do you do?
Well, I went off rails a little bit and just traveled the world, and that 1 year I went overseas 6 times, and my office was still running and doing well, but I just lost my drive because my drive was numbers, and for me, it's not numbers anymore. For now, it's what I really do enjoy. It's just going back to core of what I do and why I do it is honestly to help people. As a lawyer, we are so entrusted with someone's life
Decision, be able to help them navigate through
and
it.
it could be the smallest thing for them. Like from a lawyer's point of view, for example, a conveyance, a buying or selling of a property. It's a very structured process that doesn't require much insight or knowledge. Conveyances
It's a
do it.
process.
It's a process. But from a client's point of view, it's one of the biggest decisions in their life.
Of course.
And you got to respect that, and you got to take that on. And if you
Got to treat it with care.
you do. And same with, and the gratitude you get by going that extra mile and giving them constant updates or whatever the case is, it's worth it. And the same with big litigation matters, family law matters, mergers and acquisitions, or entering a franchise. All of these are big decisions. And when you go through that process with someone, the most rewarding part is that helping.
And it's the end part, like I always say, because we sell real estate 400 to 700,000 predominantly. For me, it's the most important thing, because people are entrusting me with their retirement, with their money, which is super important to make sure that we handle it with care. We do the right research. We make sure they structure their loans in the right manner. They're not cross-collateralized. They've put all the right structures in place. They're getting the right rent reviews, because for me, giving them that opportunity to retire financially secure for whatever reason that may be. I want to minimize my tax. I want to build a better life in retirement. For me, it's everything. And having someone say, I wouldn't have invested if it wasn't for you or your company, or this meant the world to me, is why you get up. Because at the start, I think in most cases when you get in business, it might be about money, but then it becomes about impact. It becomes about purpose. I think as we get older, I think things start to change a bit.
It's the legacy piece comes into it. It
we've
becomes
spoke
more
about that before too.
Becoming a legacy more than a job anymore, or about the money. Money comes, and there's easier ways to make money, but having a legacy is something.
It's about that career part, that career growth.
Yeah, and what you give back. I say you're as good as your last deal, because the moment you do something wrong, your reputation is more important than anything else.
Takes a lifetime to build it, and one transaction to lose it.
Exactly. So every transaction should be given with the utmost care.
Now, I know you're working with a number of things, but there's one in particular, well, there's a couple I want to talk about. You're working now on something very innovative, which is the conveyancing piece. Do you mind sharing a bit about that?
No, not at all. So this goes back to the judging piece. So when I was being a judge, you see all this evolution with technology in the workplace, in different industries, except for law. Law hasn't got it. So I saw it as an opening of how can we do more and make a bigger impact, and using technology as an enabler to do so for scale and for better deliveries. So I approached a friend of mine, which I know you've got mutual friends with this person as well, Bill Nicholas-Lakis.
Yep.
Bill was the CEO of a public listed company, then a CEO of another public listed company in the real estate and technology space. So his last role was with PropTech Group, which owns the biggest CRM programs for all real estate agents across Australia. So partnered up with him, we've created a new law firm that's technology based. Still a law firm. We're still people first, but we're using technology to do most the transactional parts of the role. So we can our lawyers can spend more time with the clients.
It's mainly a scale piece, isn't it? So you can have
It's a
a
scale
lot more
piece.
transactions.
We can have
You
more
can
transactions.
make it quicker, more efficient.
But it also gives you an ability. So, some of the Gen Y people don't want to talk to people. They want to log online and do
The
something.
new generation.
The new generation, and this gives them an ability to log. We've got an app. We've got, everything. You don't need to talk to anyone if you don't want to, or you can talk to someone every step of
Can
the
I
way.
ask you something? Out of
Anything.
20 transactions, how many people actually talking to people? This I'm just curious. Out of 20, out of 10 to make it easy for us to make the numbers, how many would you say would want to talk to people these days?
It depends on the age, the client's age.
It would be a small percentage, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, the older people always want to talk.
Of course.
But
it's
the
dwindling,
younger,
isn't it?
Yeah. So the younger generation would rather do it online, and business owners and stuff would rather do it online. And the way we've got it worked out is we're not just looking after the clients, we want to look after the referral partners as well. So if someone refers us something, they've got their own portal that they log into, not the clients, their own, so they don't see half the stuff the client has, but they've got 24-hour live access to it. They know where it stands. So if the client calls them and they go, "Oh, I want to know what happens, what's happening with this file," they don't have to call the lawyer.
Someone, get in touch, wait for someone in line, bang, here you go, it's live update, here you go.
Live update, here you go. And you've got
Self-service.
SMSs. You get SMS updates on every part of the key milestones of the transaction. You can turn it off. You don't have to get it. But if you want to get SMS updates of, hey, the client's signed the contract, hey, the deposit money is released, for example.
It's a game changer.
It could be, hopefully. So actually, yesterday I did a presentation to Harcourts. They're online now. This Friday I'm doing it to Coronas and some franchise groups. Again, the bigger franchise groups online with us and scale from there.
It's definitely the way forward. And the reason I asked that question about percentage is because in 2 or 3 generations, it's going to be so close to under 10% or zero that people will be doing the face-to-face anymore because we've become accustomed to everything. Like I'm selling real estate nationwide, piece of real estate nationwide now. I haven't seen or met the clients. Everything's online via Zoom. And as I was saying before, the COVID just pushed the market 10, 15 years forward. The acceptance of doing business that way. And now the younger people, it's not even acceptance. Now it's what I want. This is the preferred method of transactions.
But you've worked with, no doubt, many lawyers in your time.
I have, yeah.
How many of them have given you a complete digitalized
solution?
now,
I haven't found one yet.
No, you have.
But I'm saying I haven't. I haven't worked with one yet. I should say
because my industry for some reason hasn't done it. We're not tech savvy people, so I think that's a big part of it. I've been fortunate enough to have a partner like Bill who is tech savvy.
I wouldn't say I'm tech savvy either, but I know I'm. I think I'm smart enough to acknowledge I'm not tech savvy. So when I'm assembling a board, it's one guy just for tech and data because that is the way of the future. So there's a lot of people that are grabbing large market share that are all online. And there's a lot of big businesses like one of the ex-CEOs of Porter Davis who was on my show as well, Adrian Hondros. He used to work at Porter Davis. They created a model, Porter Davis X, which is all online. We're creating a Reventon similar model, just all online. And what we're going to see is I think that percentage change from the way we do business going all the way across. And I think if you don't adopt that methodology, as people are getting older and it's becoming more prevalent way to operate, you're in big trouble.
Yep. And you need to adopt with, as you mentioned, Zoom and having meetings outside as well, because people don't want to travel anymore either. They've learned that through COVID, you can work sitting on your lounge room or sitting from your own office. You don't have to travel half an hour up and back somewhere, especially if traffic the way it is. So you just got to adapt with the times.
Crazy thing I say all the time. I say some old-fashioned things I think are never going to be better. The new things will never be better than some old-fashioned things. Interaction like this. I think being able to talk to people like this will be a sellable commodity one day because people won't know how to do it anymore. Everything's going to go too digital. So the fact that you can have a conversation. So when we grow up, you throw into a playground, you can talk to kids, you learn to talk to kids. Now, people don't have that skill, they freak out. Like when I was playing poker, there was these guns that could read people online. They could play 18 tables at a time, math whizzes. When you played them live, they couldn't read the person. They didn't have those live tells. Because of these skills, which I think nothing's ever going to be nicer than talking to a human being when it comes to creating a connection. Now, you can say they might have the metaverses or things like they're going to create it real. For me, being old-fashioned, I don't think these people are going to forget how to do this, I think, in the next 10, 20 years. And I think we're seeing that now.
But when we pass, all we can take with us is memories. And memories is made by human interaction, not by anything else. And no matter how many nice cars or boats or whatever you have, you don't take that with you. You take your memories, which is this.
I saw a very fascinating piece I wanted to share with you. And I bet you if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. It was a Japanese or Chinese very, very rich man who passed away. He built the biggest, where they buried him, and he put his Bentley in it. Just to show you can't take your things with you. You Google it, I'm sure
Maybe
it
you
will
can.
come up. Yeah. He just, half the Bentley's down at the bottom. He took the half with him. What's the most valuable piece of advice you ever received, Rex?
Ever received?
Yeah.
Look after yourself.
Tell me something that no one knows about you.
Don't know. I'm very open and transparent with my life. I don't hide many things.
You've got a tat on your ankle that no one will outwork me. What was this?
Yep.
What is it?
Will not be outworked.
Will not be outworked. I like that. We're going to have to put that to the test one day.
Please.
Rex, I can't wait to. Now, I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it. What's your secret to a good life?
Balance.
What does balance mean?
Balance
Never understood that word,
means-
but that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, for me, I program my balance. I would live a very hectic life. I got different businesses, different interests. I program my balance. I pick up my daughter, for example, from school 2 days a week. It's in my diary, so no one can go past it. I make up the time. It's time shifting for me. Instead of doing it during those hours, I'll just do it after she goes to bed. So I want to have a balance with my workouts, with my friends, with my daughter time, so a balanced lifestyle for me this day and age is important.
So you run quite a few businesses. You've got the legal business. You're about to launch a couple other ones as well.
I've got various interests in other businesses as well and always have had.
The business that you're about to launch?
Bond conveyancing.
Bond conveyancing.
Yep. I've got
Cool.
Levels Growth Consultants.
What's that?
It's a consultancy business where we go into the business. It's myself, Bill Nikolakis, a marketing genius as well called Audrey. She lectures at RMIT and consults to a few AXS sister companies.
Yep.
And another gentleman called Costas who sold his last business for $100+ million.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Cool. Now, ready for our quick fire questions?
Please.
Let's go. What's the first thing you think of when you wake up?
Get up.
Get out of bed.
Get out of bed.
How do you start your day?
Gym.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I barely cook. I rarely cook.
What's your favorite food?
Steak.
Just second person. That's it.
Yeah.
What's the worst job you ever had?
Worst job I've ever had? Pizza delivery. Had it
I
for
did that as well at Footscray.
not very long. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you some funny stories tonight. Didn't last very long. Now, what's the one item you cannot live without?
Nothing. I can live without anything. I'm not
Love that. So
dependent
you're
on-
adaptable.
Yeah.
What's your one biggest pet peeve?
I want to achieve more and accomplish more. I feel like there's not enough hours in a day.
So pet peeve, more time?
More time.
I always want that. I always feel that I always work a lot, and I don't want to work a lot to work less, but I want to be more efficient in those hours and more effective.
You just look at the clock and you go, how is it this time?
But that's passion. That means you love something. That's
I
very
do.
good.
I
Not
do.
many people can say that. If your house was on fire, you had to run back in to get two things, what would you get?
My dog.
And we're assuming your family's out. of
Okay.
course.
Pets are out too.
Yeah, yep.
What'd I get? Photo album and my phone.
Name a book that's positively shaped you.
How to win friends and influence people.
Great book. Now, what's your favorite all-time movie?
Fight Club.
I'm keen to hear this one. If someone was filming a movie about you, which actor would play you? Who would they cast?
I want to stay Stallone, but they'll probably cast Danny DeVito instead.
I doubt it. Still ain't. What's one piece of advice for our listeners to take away? You've shared a lot of information and knowledge. What's one piece of advice?
Find your passion. Find what drives you and focus on that. And if you focus on that, money, wealth, success will just follow.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
And if you follow Rex and you see what he does when he talks about law, you'll understand his founties. When you're not working, how do you spend your free time?
I do a lot of things. So gym, sports, friends, time with my daughter, podcasts with great people like yourself.
Thank you. I might give you 50 for later. Now, when you're stressed out and running businesses, being in law, I'm sure this is many moments. What's your go-to stress management technique? What do you do?
Exercise.
It's good to release endorphins.
Yep. Or go for a walk.
Drive past the gym every day.
Yeah.
Now, from 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed the podcast, Rex?
10.
I can't tell you how happy we are to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having us. Having me.